Hello, 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 and welcome to episode 34 of Expand the Conversation with Jillian podcast. On today's episode, I have with me Brittany Beaver. She is a registered dietitian and epigenetics coach who specializes in preconception and prenatal nutrition. She empowers parents to be with personalized, science-based strategies rooted in epigenetics to optimize fertility and pregnancy outcomes. Brittany also supports families through baby-led weaning, helping parents feel confident in raising adventurous, healthy eaters from the very beginning. And in this episode, we talk about the foundations that support getting pregnant, nervous system and fertility connection, simple nourishment over rigid diets, what baby-led weaning looks like day to day, letting babies explore food safely, releasing fear around choking and mess, and trusting yourself as a mother, and building healthy food relationships early. We also talk about intuition a little bit with following your baby's intuition, and that's really, truly what baby-led weaning is. And this episode was so fun, and she is just so knowledgeable, and I hope everyone enjoys it. So let's get into it. All right, on today's episode, I have with me a fellow colleague, Brittany Beaver. She is a registered dietitian and epigenetics coach. Thank you so much for being with me today, Brittany.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to have you. When I started with Beauty Counter with our fellow mentor, Becca, I kind of was introduced to your page as well, and I followed along for years now. And so I feel like I know you, but like I don't know you, but I'm like, no, I know who she is. It's fine.
Yeah. That's one of the beauties of social media, as you feel like you know people.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I just love that we both share the common grounds of the epigenetics coaching because it's so important. And it's just the way you handle your social media is it's inspiring to me because you're always just very honest, but you're very tactful in the way that you share things, even though it's like a direct truth that some people could kind of be triggered by. So I love it.
Thank you. My goal is to always empower people and not make them feel any kind of shame for what they're currently doing, but just feel empowered to make a better swap.
Yeah, I love that. And you definitely do.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get into the first questions I always ask my guests. So we'll start with what is your favorite way to connect with yourself daily?
Okay. I know you've heard people say, I just need some me time, but mine is I need some no one needs me time. So whether that is, I love to thrift, doing puzzles, getting a workout in with my headphones in, with no children in the garage, going on a walk with no wagon or no children. I feel like that's how I can connect with myself when no one else needs me.
I love that. I love that. I think that's something that moms forget how often they're sending their energy outward, right? Like I
Yes.
mentioned, I do energy work, right? So when I think about it, there's always so many cords going outwards in like from the energetic body and especially as mothers. And as my son's 15 now, like there's a lot of that I'm like letting go of. Like, no, he can do this. Like he's learning to
Yes.
drive. And it's like so hard, but I'm like, no, he needs to be able to go out on his own.
Yeah.
So it's so important when they're little to be able to like cut that and be like, no, mom needs a minute. Like it's so
Mhm.
important because I think it wasn't focused on enough when we were kids.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful to show our kids that like it's okay to have alone time too.
Yeah. I think it's important.
Yeah, I love that. So next question is, what is your favorite thing right now? It can be anything.
Okay, this one's very specific. I like thought, what is bringing me so much joy right now? And I just got my first pair of Cozy Earth pajamas and putting on my Cozy Earth pajamas when I roll out of bed because I don't like to sleep anyway. I don't like to sleep in them. And then going on my patio. The weather is so cool right now in the mornings in Texas and getting my morning sunlight. Like that is the perfect morning for me.
I love it. I love it. You really can't beat like a good pair of pajamas or just like the favorite piece of clothing that just makes you feel like
Yes.
so cozy.
Yeah, and I'm 5'10", so pajama bottoms for me are always like a little high water, and like nothing makes me feel more uncomfortable in my body than like something that's supposed to be long that's not. And these, they have a tall length. And when I got them in the mail, I was just like over the moon with the length.
I love that. I'm gonna have to look into them because I'm 5'10" and a half-ish. So
Yes.
I feel you. It's like high waters everywhere. And it's like it's a deep thing for me where I'm like, if jeans are
Yes.
too short, I'm like, no, I can't do it.
I can't either. No,
Yeah.
especially pajamas. And I don't want to be like wearing them so low on my hips that these are like high rise and long enough. I mean, they're like unicorn.
I love it. I love it. I'll have to look into them.
Yeah.
I love it. It has been beautiful here too in the mornings. It's been gorgeous weather. It's like slowly transitioning to fall, even though
Yeah.
I know the false hope is there. Like
Yeah.
it's going to be so hot next week. It'll be fine.
Yeah. It's still 98 in the afternoons, but I do love a crisp morning. My daughter is 3 and she said, "It is freezing out here." I'm like,
Oh,
not quite yet.
you're like, no, this is beautiful. We like it like this.
Yes.
I love it. So the third question is, what is a topic that you think needs to be expanded on?
Okay. I have a lot of different passions. So we talked, what should we dive into first? And I really am passionate about the preconception, prenatal, postpartum time period. I like to weave in epigenetics for that too, but I do feel like if someone's not going to have a genetic blueprint done, there's still so much optimization that can happen in that preconception time frame to kind of get your body ready for a baby, that I wish we talked about that more.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And, it was really surprising to me when I was going through the epigenetics program, like where choline was coming up so much.
Yes.
Because no one talks about choline unless you're getting pregnant, right?
Right.
But
Or
there's been,
breastfeeding.
right? And there's been so many clients that I've worked with personally that like, no, this is a dire need. Like we need to put you on choline like yesterday.
Dire. Yeah.
And it's wild. And so it's when you talk about the preconception piece, I think there's so much more knowledge now than there was 15, 20 years ago, even about, okay, here's how we can really set you up for success before you're even getting pregnant.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think something that is really often overlooked is the male when we think about the preconception time period, because we always think most of the responsibility falls to a woman. If you have a miscarriage or if you're having trouble getting pregnant, oftentimes a woman puts most of the blame on herself, but half of the DNA is coming from the father. And as the sperm is maturing, that takes around 3 to 4 months for sperm to mature. The actions that he's doing during that maturation process plays a role in not only the woman's pregnancy, but the birth outcomes and then the DNA of the child. So it's crucial that we loop dad into this preconception time instead of just, mom doesn't drink for 9 months. Like dads can get involved too.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's so supportive too, because being pregnant, I mean, I personally, my pregnancy was not the time of my life.
No.
It was not like I know people that love being pregnant, and I'm like, I have one and he's plenty. He's
Yeah.
perfect. He's perfect.
One and done.
But one and done. And, it's so funny because it's like to not have that support when you're feeling so poorly. And then it's like you go through your first 12 weeks and then you're like, okay, all right, this should be okay now. I should be feeling better. And then I think I felt okay for maybe a month of that period, that second trimester. And then my blood sugar was just so unstable that if I didn't like wake up in the middle of the night to eat something, I would
Hmm.
get violently ill in the morning. And
Yeah.
it's crazy to me because now my son, if he doesn't like, I see that in his own blood sugar. And I'm like, that's so interesting because I never dealt with that beforehand.
Yeah.
And so I really saw how he was affecting me when I was pregnant with him. But it's so interesting how every woman's needs are different. But either if it's through a genetic blueprint or even just through food, being able to support ourselves so much more just by what we eat. Because if I'm being honest, I mean, I was 20 when I was pregnant with him. So I wasn't as worried about what I was eating or like the
Yeah.
nutrition. I was like taking my prenatals because my doctor told me to. But outside of that, like there's not much knowledge that exists.
Yeah. And doctors too, I mean, they're doing the best they can with the information they have. But when they say just pick any prenatal off the shelf. It's going to be good. And that's just so untrue. There's no possible way that you can get everything that you need for you and your baby in like a 1 a day, or even 3 a day. And when people hear like my top picks for prenatals, they're like 8 capsules. I'm like, I know it takes a lot of nutrients to support your body. So take 4 in the morning, take 4 in the evening, take a powder form inside of a smoothie if you're feeling nauseous. So there's some ways that you can get around it, but I just want people to know like a 1 a day is not going to do it.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I mean, even just a one a day for a normal human in general generally isn't doing it.
No, it's not.
Like,
I wish that it would. I mean, honestly, I looked at my stack this morning, and I'm a bit of a biohacker. So I'm like, oh, I have a podcast today. Let's do some cognitive support. Let's do some extra phosphatidylcholine. Like, I like that kind of stuff. And not everybody wants that. Some people want to streamline it. But yeah, even just being on a robust prenatal, I think is a really great place to start. And if you want, I can share. I have 5 pillars of preconception for people. So if they're interested in how both they and their spouse can optimize their egg and sperm health before, these are the top things I recommend at least 3 months, ideally 6 months before conception.
yeah, absolutely. I'd love to hear it.
Yeah. Well, supplements is one of them. Nutrition and supplements, I kind of put those two together, but we want to think about optimizing how we're eating. A genetic blueprint is very helpful for that because we can look at exactly what type of fats your body, thrives on, exactly how much protein, but protein is huge and fiber is huge. And if you have been working on getting enough protein in, it's like a full-time job to meet your protein goals every day. But having a breakfast that is rich in protein is going to help keep your blood sugar more stable throughout the day. So that's a really great place to start. But trying to get minimum 30 grams of protein per meal. Ideally, a pregnant person, we want them to be getting closer to 100, even a little bit more than that. So I'm going to try to keep each one a little bit short so we're not going too long, but that's where I would start with nutrition supplements. Toxins is the next one. And we know that the research shows that when women give birth, that in the placenta, there are just hundreds of toxins. So we know that baby is getting whatever you're exposed to. So my top things would be to try to cut out things like BPA, plastics, organic when possible. Anything with fragrance in it is going to be a huge swap. So just even going fragrance free can be great. And when you think about your laundry detergent, you're wearing that stuff 24/7, right? Your clothes, your towels, your sheets. So at some point, your body is touching that laundry detergent all day long. So making sure that is a safe option as well. Sleep is going to be so key. That's when we rest. That's when our brain consolidates memories. That's when we get our deep sleep, restorative sleep. So, if people are struggling with sleep, I can't recommend magnesium enough in the evenings. Magnesium glycinate is my favorite. It absorbs really nicely. Do you have a favorite magnesium that you use?
Magnesium glycinate too is
Okay.
for me.
Yeah.
I've been using the pure encapsulations out of habit, but I've actually recently I'm like, I think there's one brand that's it's Hello Ned. They do
Yes.
that one's really bioavailable, that's really good, and they have a couple different options. And I love a good like chai. So they have a shut eye chai at night and it's just really good. It's got the L-theanine, it's got the
Yeah.
magnesium in there. Um,
Yeah,
but
Needed
it's
makes a really good one. Needed is my brand for all things preconception, prenatal, all that. We can put a discount code if you have like notes in the bottom.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
but they make a sleep support tea. So if someone likes something liquid at night, it's got L-theanine, L-glycine, chamomile, and then 3 different forms of magnesium. My husband and I drink it every night. I'm not pregnant or trying to be, but it's great magnesium for everyone. So sleep is so important.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, no, sleep, like the first time I had magnesium glycinate before bed after I initially did my genetic panel,
Hmm.
it like changed my life. Like
Yeah.
I was moving so much at night and you know it, but I didn't put
Yes.
it together. And so then once I had that in my system, plus I have um the GAD1 gene.
Hmm.
And so I'm like, okay, where I'm dealing with this issue where I've got too much glutamate coming in and it's not transferring into anything. So
Hmm.
adding that in like just completely changed my life. So I'm always like a huge
Huge proponent for that.
Yeah.
I think 75% of the population is deficient in magnesium because it's a mineral your body can't make. You have to get it
Hmm.
from food, diet, maybe, even some through your water, possibly. But with soil depletion and stress depletes magnesium. So you can see how it's the perfect setup that we're not eating a nutrient dense diet. Most people would probably report that they're pretty stressed. And so we're just have this depleted magnesium, and over 300 body processes rely on magnesium, including being able to relax and calm and sleep and not have as many sleep movements, which helps with deep sleep. So it
Hmm.
can be really life changing for people to get that good dose right before bed.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, I am a huge fan of micronutrients in my water. A few
Yes.
years ago, I got a reverse osmosis water system because I was like, okay, this is great. Like, I was really leaning into lowering toxins in my house, and I didn't realize that there was nothing being put back in initially.
Oh,
So I'm just drinking water all the time, and I'm like, I'm so dehydrated. What is happening?
yeah.
And then I finally found a good electrolyte that I like,
Mhm.
which I'm always open to trying new ones. I'm an
Mhm.
element girl. I love it. And I know like always, there's always something that comes out eventually. I feel like about almost every brand where it's like, oh, but they put a little bit of this in it and then it's not so good. And I'm like,
Yeah.
but I feel so much better.
Yeah. I think sometimes anecdotal data, your N equals one. You have to do what's best for you. I think it's a
Yeah.
great brand overall. And I
Yeah.
think also, if you know your genetics too, if you're not sensitive to sodium, if your potassium is kind of neutral, but a lot of people need more potassium than Element gives them. So I have some other recommendations that I like too, but I do have some friends and even my husband who's like, I think Element is it for me. And he tries anything I ask him to try, but he likes Element the best.
Yeah. Well, and it's just so funny because, when I talk to my clients, even with like the lowering toxins, I always laugh at the reaction that I get sometimes with fragrances. People are like, what? And I'm like, no, like, trust me, this is going to change your life.
Yes.
You're going to
It,
stop using,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
It feels like such a innocuous word, right? You see the word fragrance on a label and people are like, "Oh, I looked this up on the EWG and it's an 8, but it's only because it has fragrance." And I'm like, "No, that word is like my number one trigger because there's a fragrance loophole. Up to 3,000 different chemicals can be under that one label. And when you think about a fragrance, most companies want it to stick around. And like you put an essential oil on, you can smell it for a little while, and then the scent dissipates.
Hmm.
Companies don't want that to happen with their perfumes and their. I always think about those Downy Unstoppables. They're like you can smell it for up to 3 months. That's because they're adding a hormone disrupting chemical called phthalates, and phthalates cross the placenta. And we don't want anything disrupting our hormones, especially when we're thinking about preconception, prenatal, postpartum, or anytime you're concerned with your hormones, which is basically all your life.
Yeah. Well, and I was just thinking, like, just as a woman to be worried about your hormones all the time, it's like I think the amount of fragrance is in our world that exists is a big issue as far as a lot of the menstrual issues women have.
Absolutely.
And it was crazy for me to see when I stopped using them. Like now, if someone walks by me with too much perfume on, like I get nauseous. I'm just like,
Yeah.
nope, can't do
Because you're
it.
so desensitized to it when you're exposed to it all the time. And then
Yeah.
once you cut it out, your body does become more sensitive to it, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
and we have two more
Yeah.
pillars. Shall we hit those?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. So, number 4 is stress. And I feel like this one is so much easier said than done, especially if you're struggling with fertility, right? What do people say? Just don't stress about it. No one can not stress about it when they're trying to get pregnant and they want a child and they can't. But there are some things that you can do to reduce your stress. Some of it's a little bit more difficult when you are in that preconception or prenatal phase because there are some things you can't take. But I feel like people roll their eyes when you say meditation, and this is much more your realm than mine, like energy work, meditation. But as someone who like has a hard time just sitting, finding an app that works for people can be really helpful. Like just a guided meditation is what some people need to be able to kind of get their foot in the door. And then the fifth one is physical activity. And I feel like that one ties into stress because a huge stress reliever is to move your body, you know? And
Yeah.
I never want people to feel like, oh, well, I'm not lifting weights or I'm not doing F45, so I'm not doing enough. A 10-minute walk after your biggest meal of the day is movement, and it will make a huge impact on blood sugar and metabolic health, which also in turn improves your hormones, preconception, fertility, all of that. So nothing is too small. Moving your body for 10 minutes, like my mom just got a walking pad. She couldn't even do a mile when she started. She messaged me the other day and she's like, I'm up to 2 miles a day. I'm like, Mom, that's amazing. Like, she feels like it's nothing. And I think it's huge, you know?
Mhm. Absolutely. Well, and I think that's the beauty of like working with coaches a lot of the time is we don't celebrate ourselves enough. So when you've got someone else saying, no, like just a month ago you weren't able to walk a mile and now you can do two, like that's
Right.
huge. It doesn't
Right.
have to be like you don't have to run marathons.
I know people are very all or nothing, and sometimes I'm the same way. Even example, I took my son to school this morning. We live close enough, so sometimes we'll just zip him up on the golf cart. But I told him on mornings that I take him versus his dad, we're riding bikes, and he said, "Great." And I normally take the long way home so I can get 20 minutes. But my husband needed to run and do something, so I'm like, "Ugh, is it even worth it?" And I'm like, "No, 10 minutes of bike riding is better than no minutes of bike riding."
Yeah,
So just whatever you can do that's a little bit better than what you're doing right now is progress.
absolutely. And I I've gone through my life like with the perfectionism like issue, right?
Yeah, same.
Type A, like it all needs to be right. Otherwise, it's not
Yeah.
even worth it.
Yeah, don't
But
do it at
having,
all.
yeah, but having a business and kind of finding balance within my life to be able to do the physical movement and make time for my clients, make time for my partner, make time for my son, like it's got to give somewhere
Right.
because like you can't go 100 all the time. And that's why even when it comes to people that I talk to, and I'm sure that you do the same, it's like when we look at toxins, like don't throw away the baby in the bathwater like all
No.
at once. Like, let's go a little bit at a time. And
Hmm.
I've shared this story a couple of times on the podcast, but I think it's so important for people to hear. Like, my son was dealing with some asthma, right? And he was just kind of wheezing all the time. And it wasn't really bad. Like, in physical activity, he was just wheezing. And I was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
His doctors couldn't really tell me. And then finally, they're like, he has allergy induced asthma. And I was like, huh. So once I got on into the like low toxin living, started learning more, I started taking out all the fragrances.
Yeah.
It's something that's in the fragrances that's just throwing his hormones off or that he's severely allergic to that's causing him to wheeze. So once I switched everything out, it completely went away. And I was
What a
like,
powerful story. And it makes you kind of think of what are these kind of small symptoms that we consider normal that really, if we cut out some of these toxic things that we're putting in and around our body every day, like how much better could we feel? And a lot of people say that, oh, well, I feel fine. And my sister used to say that when I started my non toxic journey before she kind of got on board. And I don't think she realized how good she could feel because she did feel fine, but now she feels so much better.
yeah. Well, and it's the same when we look at like micronutrient intake
Yeah.
for anyone, right? Like I've had a client that was on the scale of like need choline, like highly need for
Hmm.
choline. Once she started taking it, she was like, I just feel better. And she's like, I
Yeah.
can't really like pinpoint it, but like I feel way better than I did before. And I'm like, your body just needed it. And it's not always this glaring alarm that's going off where it's like, oh, my
Right.
joints are hurting or something's broken. It's just kind of this subtle exhaustion that
Yeah.
people deal with and they accept it.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be the norm. Yeah. Because choline is so vital. Even if we think about detoxification and methylation, I explain it to my clients as methylation is like baking a cake, and we need to have all of the right ingredients, or the cake doesn't come out right. And all of the cofactors that you need for methylation are things like zinc, magnesium, choline. And like I just said, 75% of the population is deficient in magnesium. We know people aren't getting enough choline, especially if they're not eating eggs, liver, broccoli, and those, those are the biggest sources. So it's like, okay, no wonder methylation isn't working properly. And methylation controls everything when we think about mood and detox. And so, wow, you really could feel better if you get a few of these micronutrients that you might be lacking, which is the beauty of epigenetics. We can really cut out all the noise and hone in on exactly what your body needs.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's always interesting to see the hormone panels too,
Yeah.
especially if someone's trying to get pregnant, because it's like obviously they know what's expressing, right? Like they kind
Hmm.
of feel that. And it's interesting because I went through a client that was trying to get pregnant. We go through a hormone panel and we kind of look at everything. I suggest a couple of supplements. And then as she was on them, her doctors ended up diagnosing her with PCOS. So it's like, okay. And I'm like, but you're already taking everything you could
Yeah.
before that diagnosis even happened. So like you're already on the right path. It's just a matter of letting your body balance itself back out. And I think
Yeah.
that's where the genes come in, and is it's allowing your body to find that balance again. Because, I know you know this, but as humans, our system is always looking for balance within itself.
Yeah.
And I think that's why sodium's gotten such a bad rap, outside of the fact that it's a genetic factor, right? How we
Hmm.
handle sodium. But if we look at, a lot of pumps in our body, it's potassium sodium pumps. And
Yeah.
either we're getting way less potassium where it's not meeting that sodium ratio, they're not
Hmm.
functioning right. And so our body's like, well, what do we do with it? It doesn't work.
Yeah. So true.
It's so interesting. So I want to kind of pivot now. I know we've talked a little bit about the pregnancy stage, the pillars to focus on, and now I want to go into baby-led weaning because I know you teach women how to do this. And like I mentioned before we got on the call, like I had my son 15 years ago, so this was like way past my time, but I think it's so interesting. And, you've shared your kids like just chewing on steak. And I'm like, but they have no teeth. Like, what do
Yeah.
they do?
Yes.
So tell me more, please.
Okay, so baby led weaning, people get a misconception. So let's talk about some of the misconceptions and some of the biggest fears. So, the whole goal is to have adventurous eaters who aren't picky and exposing them to as many different textures and flavors and foods as possible in those first 100 days of life is huge. And you'll hear people say food before one is just for fun. And I do think food should be fun, but it is so much more than just fun. There's an opportunity to improve gut health, improve their relationship with food. So much is happening before that 1 year birthday. And so people are fearful, like, oh my gosh, they're going to choke. A choking hazard is like the number one fear for moms or parents, caregivers, grandparents who are watching the kids who don't agree with the parents, so many things. So I have a course and there's a whole session on myths and fears. But the whole point is we don't want to just offer purees and baby foods because that's not exposing your baby to different textures. And gagging is a developmental milestone. Whether they learn that and kind of get over it or, get over that developmental milestone at 6 months of age when they start solids, or when if you do purees and then start solids at like 10 months, they're going to have to get past it. So
Hmm.
just go ahead and get it over with at 6 months. So there are a few things to keep in mind when you do baby led weaning. We want to make sure your child is able to sit up and has enough core strength to sit in a high chair, and that they're not doing this tongue thrusting. Like you've seen a baby, they're just constantly spitting things back out.
Yeah.
They're not ready for food yet. So people always want to know, okay, at what age do I need to start? And it's more about, are they developmentally ready? Are they even interested in food? And you'll know your baby is watching you eat and they're reaching for it, they're interested. That's a great sign. And so I actually have a free download with like my week 1 when you're starting baby led weaning, which foods you should offer. And things to keep in mind are we want to make sure they're soft enough that if you pinch them, they would, break in two. So think banana, avocado, sweet potato, squash, things like that. But you did mention the steak. That obviously is not going to break when you pinch it. That is so that they can just suck on it. A
Hmm.
piece isn't going to break off that they would choke on, and they actually get really great nutrients like iron and zinc, even from just the juices of the steak, which babies at 6 months need those nutrients. So I'm really big on letting the baby lead the way. Even if you just decide to do purees because you're a little bit nervous, I like to preload the spoons. And here's a really great tip. have 3 spoons, because once a baby has 2 spoons, they're not giving it back. But if you load up a third spoon, they're going to drop that one and get the one with food on it. So have 3 of those little spoons and let them lead the way, because their body, think about us, we kind of eat past the point of fullness, right? And they're so smart. They don't have those outside environmental influences yet. They can trust their body. And so if we're feeding them and we're not listening to their cues, they're turning their face, but you're saying, but you're not done with this baby food yet. That's telling them to override their own body's cues. And we do not want to do that. We do not want to ruin that perfect hunger and satiety. So letting them lead the way is a really great way for them to learn to trust their body and for us to learn their cues as well. And they're not going to get much food in the first few weeks, which can be a little bit discouraging because you spend all this time making the perfect food and then most of it ends up on the floor or in the dog's mouth. And that's okay. It's part of the process. Before you know it, they're eating 3 meals a day. But it's a really fun process. And I want parents to feel empowered and confident. I want them to be confident feeders because it's going to turn into confident eaters.
I love that. I love it a lot. And it's so funny as I've gone through my own journey and just like parenting, and it's like knowing all this information now, like obviously I would have done so many things different, but just leaning into where I can support him now. And even still, like as a parent, like kind of following his cues. Cause as a 15-year-old, like the changing and eating for kids, I don't feel like ever stops until
Yeah.
they're like full grown adults, and then you don't see it anymore.
Yeah.
And it's because like now he's in football, right? So he's
Mhm.
got these goals he's trying to meet, but he also, as he goes through growth spurts, he eats like an entire football team.
I cannot imagine your grocery bill.
It's a lot. It's a lot. And then when he's like slowing down eating, I'm like, are you sure you don't want more? Are you sure? Because it's like you see how much he eats when he's growing, and then I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, like back off. Like,
Let them trust their body. And there are times where we need to intervene, right? Like if a kid is left up to their own devices, especially my kids' ages, they're not going to choose to eat a vegetable or a protein. But my kids, I hope no one takes this as me being like braggy about my kids, because they are still picky at times.
yeah.
But at every meal, not always breakfast, we don't serve a vegetable, but at every meal we serve a fruit, a vegetable, and a protein. And they know, they can pinpoint which food on the plate is a protein because we talk about it a lot. And we
Hmm.
talk about it in a way that says, like, we need to eat a lot of variety because it's good for your tummy bugs. We need to eat protein so you can grow big and strong and your blood sugar is stable. And they might not know what all that means now, but when they sit down, they know I need to have a protein because I feel my best. And
Hmm.
we don't talk about weight, we don't talk about bodies, but we just keep it very like cut and dry. You're going to feel your best when you eat this. Or, someone was passing out red Gatorade at his baseball game last night and he didn't even ask. Maybe he didn't see it, but I just tell him that kind of stuff's not going to make your body feel its best. But I have another option for you over here, which that's, very difficult to navigate. And there comes an
Yeah.
age where they have to decide for themselves, like your son, right? He's 15. He's got a little more autonomy than my 5-year-old, but hopefully teaching them at a young age to listen to their body and connect how they feel to what they're eating will translate when they get older.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think at any stage, like when people decide to like reduce toxins or anything like that, like you've definitely done it in a way like your kids are going to grow up with this foundation. And I think that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's even for my son, like it's for me, I'm like, it's about balance. Like, I'm not
Yes.
telling you to not eat the cake, or like if you're at a restaurant, you're like, can I have a Coke? I'm like, you can have one,
Yes.
but
Yes.
and it's making sure that they have the knowledge of like how you feel. And when my son was younger, he used to get eczema really bad, like really bad breakouts, and it would be worse at parties.
Yeah.
He'd get rashes all under his armpits, and it was before I knew anything. And I'm like, what is that? And then I just intuitively connected it to the sugar intake. Like it was so
Yeah.
much higher because they've got the cupcakes, they've got the juices, they've got everything.
Yeah.
And his detox pathways were overloaded. And so it was like, we can't do this anymore.
No.
Like, and
And it
so
has
now
to be
he
so
knows.
occasional, right? Like Yeah, I don't want the listeners to think, oh my gosh, her poor kids, they never get anything. We let them eat that kind of stuff when they go to their grandma's house or a birthday
Yeah.
party. But you're right. It can't be the foundation. It can't be
Mm-mm.
what they're getting at home every day.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, even now he knows, like, if he goes to a restaurant with his grandparents and he has a Coke, like, it's one and done. Like, he's not going to have 15
No.
refills because, they'll just keep coming back. But he's gotten to the point where he'll even tell the waiter, like, no, I'll just have water.
Yeah.
And it's just letting him, like, it's okay to have some of these things, but notice how you're feeling. And one day at the beginning of the year, he had like, I don't even remember what it was. He had something stupid at lunch, and it was just like mozzarella sticks or something. And they have football practice from 2:50 until 7 p.m.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I think he threw up. And I was like, of course you did. You
Yeah.
genetically need more protein.
Yeah.
And you just kind of said, forget that. I'm
Not
going to do whatever
today.
I want today.
I bet he'll never do that again.
Yeah, and he definitely felt the difference. And so it's like now he brings like he'll buy lunch at school, but he brings an extra like protein, smaller lunch. So
Yeah.
that way if that doesn't have enough protein, he's still getting enough.
What a smart boy. Or maybe a smart mom.
Right. So I think both. I think it's a mixture of both.
Yeah.
Because I can't force him to do anything,
Yeah. And I think
And
our goal is always to help them be their best and be better than we are, right? And you and I both were diagnosed with autoimmune diseases. You're at a much earlier age than I am. And if we can prevent that in our kids, isn't that the goal, right?
yeah,
I don't want my kids to have rheumatoid arthritis like I do or MS like you do. We don't want that
no,
especially at a young age.
yeah,
And I'm really hopeful that even these 5 pillars of preconception, these are 5 pillars of just health, honestly. So whether people
yeah,
are conceiving or not, I'm hoping that people will hear this, and some of your audience might already be far down in their clean living journey, but if it's the first time someone's hearing it, I hope they don't feel overwhelmed and that they'll just pick one thing and start there. Whatever product you're running out of next, find a safer alternative. And if you're
yeah,
like, well, where do I look? Environmental Working Group is a great place to look. And then I can also give you the link to my Goodbye Toxins guide. You might have something similar. Link that
yeah.
if you do. But just safer swaps in all areas of your home, because every single swap that we can make, it matters for you, your kids, your family, your future health.
Yeah. Well, and people don't really know until they know. And that's always the fun part for me. And it's, I've got all of these results over the years through my son, through myself, even with hormones, when we talk about it, like regrowing this little patch of hair, right? Like
Yeah.
that's so common in women. And I
Mhm.
was just like, oh my gosh, look, I did it. Like it's there again.
What a good
And
result.
yeah.
It's such a tangible thing that you've done.
Well, and it's always nice to see that like outcome because people like to see the tangible results. And that's why
Yeah.
sometimes people on weight loss journeys, like they get lost so soon. And, for me, tying it back into the genes, it's always so interesting and listening to the babies whenever like they're weaning off of foods, like with the MS diagnosis, like now a lot of that's attached to vitamin D deficiencies. And when I was a kid, I used to lay in the sun regularly, like loved it. I would just lay on my driveway and read a book or like I just loved it. I will soak
You're
up the
so
sun.
intuitive.
And so then as I got older, it's like we work inside, you live inside. You have to actually make intentional outside time.
Yeah.
But then getting my genes done, and my highest macro is monounsaturated fats. Like that
Mhm.
is the number one it's my hard, like, I cannot go a meal without this
Yeah.
because it's my brain food. And once I like kind of put all of that together, I was like, of course I need this.
Of course.
Of course.
I got chills. It's just so life changing when you figure out exactly what your body needs. And I know that it's an investment for people, but it's one of those tests that you don't have to get redone. And once you know it, then you know it forever.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of it is it doesn't change, right? And that's, I did my son's when he was 9 and he didn't care. He sat through the call with Becca and he's like, okay, like, how long are we doing this for? I'm like, you're almost done. Like, it's okay. But
Yes.
now I've got so many things that I know about him and I'm like, no, we're going to focus on this. We're really going to boost you here. And he even has 2 out of the 3 gene snips that like he cannot do too many vegetables
Mm,
because he turns that plant sterol into cholesterol
mm,
instead of the opposite. So I'm like, okay, well, we know that he obviously took that and ran with it for a while, but he still eats his veggies but he's always been more of a fruit guy anyway. And I'm like, cool, lean into that. Like if you feel good eating more
yeah,
fruits, like you're still getting the nutrients, have some greens 1 or 2 meals a day, and
yeah,
then like just listen to your body.
yeah,
And I love the stress piece when you brought it up because stress is commonly something that is just us outside of our bodies.
yeah.
If you think about it from an energetic standpoint, it's usually when you're overthinking something, and the way I see it a lot in clients is everything's up here. All the energy's just around our head. And instead of it being like spread through our body and being able to feel.
Mm-hmm.
And so bringing that in, and that's why the physical activity really helps deal with stress because you're
Yeah,
pulling yourself back in, you're pulling the energy back down. But I love it so much. And the intuitive led anything, I'm always like a big
yeah,
proponent of.
yeah. I think it's great to start them at a young age, knowing that they can trust their body. Because how many times do parents say, like, you fall down and they cry and they're like, no, you're fine. And we just brush things off. No, no, you're still hungry. Like, I just want them to be able to trust their own body at such a young age.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
and if they're able to, if there is anything that comes up, those whispers that we talked about, the quiet
mm-hmm.
unsettlement will be much louder for them because they've trusted it their whole life and they're like, okay, I can listen to this. Where, I mean, people our age, we'll say millennials, right? Like a
Yeah,
lot of our parents were saying, no, don't have that feeling. Don't do that. And then the outside world as women, be skinnier. Don't eat the fat. Don't do this.
yeah,
And I love the generation that's growing up right now because they're being raised so differently. And it's not even the toxic, like, oh my gosh, what do people call it? Like where you're overly nice.
toxic positivity.
Yeah. Like it's not even that. Like it's just we're empowering our kids to feel their body, right? Because my son still has plenty of rules.
Yeah,
And me as a mom being self-aware, like I know when I'm on edge and I snap at him and it's something that like he didn't deserve, I'm like, you didn't do anything to get that. I'm really sorry. I love you. This is why I'm feeling this way. And that communication's there, but it's not like he doesn't get in trouble.
right.
And so I think at this point in time, people are having a hard time balancing that, like, okay, I want to listen to my kid, but I don't want to be like my parents. And it's like, no, your kids are going to get in trouble.
Yes. Yeah. Mine definitely do. We still have a lot of boundaries.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think that you can have both. They can have their feelings and also like it's still my job to keep you safe and healthy. We say that a lot, especially when it comes to food. So if someone out there needs like some verbiage, they're like, "Oh, but I really want another piece of cake." And I just ask them like, "What's my job?" And they say, "To keep you safe, to keep me safe and healthy," like begrudgingly. And I'm like, "Okay, so that's what I'm doing right now. I'm holding the boundary."
Yeah. I love that. I love that. They're like, "God, Mom, you're
I know.
always doing so good at it." I love that so much. I'm definitely going to put the needed discount code in the show notes and also the free download you mentioned for the baby led weaning. I'll add that in the show
Yeah,
notes as well.
yeah.
And for
And
anyone listening, go ahead.
I have the 5 pillars of preconception. I have that as a free download too. So people can kind of like get the one that wherever their life stage is. So I'll include both.
Awesome. Thank you. That's perfect. And then we'll do a goodbye toxins guide as well. And the EWG app, I think, is huge.
Okay.
Because even though I have my own brands that I tend to lean to, like sometimes even with like Branch Basics, like I can't just order it and get it the next day. So I'm like, oh
Yeah.
no, if it's last minute, like I love using that app to be able to see like, okay, what's something I can pick up at the store that's going to be
So
equivalent and
yeah.
safe.
And now you can get Branch Basics at the store.
Now you can. I love
That's
that.
right, which is so exciting.
It is so exciting because I mean, that's the one I first switched over and I just am like ride or die now. I'm like, no, I don't
Yeah.
want any other cleaner.
Yeah. It's just too easy. I mean, when you can like empty out your entire toxic cabinet and get everything you need in one concentrate, like we've been using it for years and I'll never go back.
Yeah, because I mean, why? Why? It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
And it's Texas based, so I'm biased, but
And women owned. I love that too.
yeah, absolutely. No, and it works great. And that's the thing is it's so funny anytime there's like a stain on a shirt, I'm like, it's okay, I got it.
Yeah. That Branch Basics will get it out.
Absolutely. The oxygen boost will take care of it for sure.
Yes.
It's so good. Yeah, but I'll put all that in the show notes. And as we wrap up, will you go ahead and let people know where they can find you?
Yes. So you can find me the most on Instagram at the Paleo Dietitian. I'm in stories almost every day. And I actually just started a new series. I'd love for y'all to come look at it. It's called the Snack Smackdown. And it's where I can look and please come comment what snack you want to look at next. But it could be protein bars, protein powder, kid snacks. And my first one was comparing goldfish to a better alternative. And I take you on a deep dive of like, what do I look at on the label that gives me the red flags and why do I look for an alternative? So y'all come check that out.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody should check that out because that's so important. Reading labels can be really overwhelming at the beginning
Yeah.
of, at any point of these journeys, but
Yes.
I love that you're doing that. That's such a great resource for people. Love it. Yeah. And
Thank
I'll
you
put
so
all of
much for
that.
having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll put all that in the show notes. And thank you for being here with me today. This has just been great. I really appreciate you.
It's been nice chatting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much for listening to Expand the Conversation podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review of the podcast on your favorite platform. Your feedback means the world to me. If you have any questions, comments, or topic suggestions for future episodes, reach out to me on social media. I would love to hear from you. To let me know you are listening and stay updated on all things Expand the Conversation, be sure to follow and tag me on Instagram at expandtheconversation.podcast. If you know someone who would benefit from this episode, please share it. See you next time.